I can just imagine Stephen A's face right now, so make sure you join us. The Vikings have lost 8 of their last 10 games, and now there's controversy surrounding the team's secondary. So during their loss in Green Bay Saturday, Vikings defensive backs freelanced on their first series of the game when Terrence Newman covered Jordy Nelson, a source telling our Adam Schefter. As soon as the first series ended, Vikings coach Mike Zimmer addressed the players. The situation was rectified. One Vikings source said, although it was an incident that occurred on the first series, Zimmer did not put a timeline on it in the post-game press conference, and the situation got blown out of proportion. Stephen A., how should the Vikings handle this? Because we know when Jamie Collins supposedly went rogue, Bill Belichick sent him to Cleveland.
Let me say this. It's important that I preface my comments. We don't know all the details. We don't know if it lasted one play or the entire half. I heard it was the entire half. I could be wrong. I'm not talking about one play. I'm talking about
if it was the entire half.
The entire half. If it were the entire half where you ignored your coach. Now, you're asking me.
Yes.
I'm the executive or I'm the team owner. Let me look my man Ryan Clark, a Super Bowl champion, in the face, and I'm telling you right now, this is what I would do. I would call Mike Zimmer in the office, and I would sit up there and I would say, they go or you go. You got 24 hours. You got 24 hours. Terrence Newman and Xavier Rhodes, and Xavier Rhodes is big time. I love this. This brother's game is special. And Terrence Newman at age 38 has been around this league long enough. I mean, no disrespect, but they would go or Coach Zimmer would be gone within 24 hours. I'm talking about he wouldn't even be allowed to coach this coming Sunday, or they would not be allowed to wear a Vikings uniform this Sunday. To sit up there, I got a coach who, by the way, has the 4th-ranked defense. I mean, this is one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL, like 4th against the pass. Excuse me, you're ignoring my instructions. I've been in the NFL since 1994. I have a stout reputation as a defensive wizard. This team was considered the elite defense in the NFL prior to the bevy of injuries they suffered from. There is no reason, I repeat, no reason to question the credentials or the football acumen as a defensive mind for Mike Zimmer. And not only do you do the wrong thing, you admit you did it on purpose, that you were engaging in that level of insubordination. Talk about no respect. Xavier Rhodes and Terrence Newman would be looking for a job. Because if I can't, listen, you appreciate this American gangster scene with Denzel and the Italian mafia.
Frank Lucas.
It would it would never happen in our community. There must be order. You cannot have dudes that literally disobeyed orders and announced it. Do you realize the goal of that?
I would say this.
Oh, they'd be gone.
I'm with you up until gone, because it's unclear at this point. It's unclear at this point whether. But it's unclear at this point whether they misinterpreted what the coach was saying. Because, look, Lawrence Taylor and Troy Polamalu and Junior Seau, those guys could freelance all they wanted, right? You know why? Because they made plays. They were rarely wrong, and they were everywhere at once. And you kind of want a guy like that on your team. But these guys don't have that kind of equity, nor are they as successful yet, certainly in one of their cases. But the point is this. If it is the case that they went rogue and then made that public, what they are trying to do is disrupt the coach's job security, right? Like, that's why a player does that. You correct me if I'm wrong. What I would do in that case is not necessarily get rid of them, especially if the guy's really talented, a difference maker.
Xavier Rhodes.
Yep, Xavier Rhodes is who I'm referring to. But I would certainly sit them. In other words, like, I don't think you got to get rid of them, but you got to say, look, there can't be 2 bosses. There's one boss. Sit the guy who went rogue.
I'm coming to you. This is all I want to say. There is a tweet here from some guy, Andrew Kramer, that's in the Viking story. It's apparently some report, I don't know who he is, but some report, I guess, that spoke to the players. Xavier Rhodes said Vikings defensive backs decided during the week, they would not have him shadow Nelson despite Zimmer calling for it. So they planned.
If that's true, that's damning.
No. They planned it because Xavier Rhodes did say during the week we decided not to track him because we've played this team before, and we've always just played our sides. Terrence Newman also went off to the sideline during the game and told Zim, hey, let me get him. I can cover this guy. And Zimmer said, this is what he said in the post-game interview, I said, do what you're supposed to do. Here's the issue. That's not how it works. You don't just get to get rid of guys. The same way you're saying that Xavier Rhodes and Terrence Newman may not have the cachet to do this, Mike Zimmer is also not Bill Belichick. He doesn't have the cachet to do that. And we were talking about two players. Xavier Rhodes went to the Pro Bowl this year.
He's a bad dude.
Guy, the guy that they're saying maybe should have had that spot? Terrence Newman. Right? And so we're talking about two dudes that balled this year. Here's the issue. You have to sit them because you have to show them that you can't do this. Now, you said Junior Seau and Troy. Yeah, they freelanced and they did some things. Changing the entire scheme and freelance and blitzing, maybe when you're supposed to be in the flat, there's two different things. And so when Xavier Rhodes and Terrence Newman make this decision, Zimmer has to, the boss shouldn't have to come to him. He should go to those guys and say, you're not playing. The issue I run into, the only thing that bothers me is, if I'm on the sideline, if I'm coaching, if I'm watching this happen, I don't care if I got to use all my timeouts to get it switched.
Check it.
You have to check it. You can't check it when they come off the sideline. You have to check it while it's
immediate consequences.
Yes.
Hold on, Max. I have a question. I'm dead serious about this. It's real nice for you to say all that. Somebody playing for you, how you are and your personality is, and they're openly insubordinate on purpose. You do what?
That's why you sit them this game.
Okay, you sit them this game. So I don't mind being checked. Maybe, okay, I went too far with getting rid of them. My point is to send the message. There's one boss. One. And it ain't you. And if you do something like that, no. So what if he did it again? What if he comes back,
now,
Ryan, and does it again?
Right. So now you've shown that it is a pattern of insubordination. But in the league, Stephen A., you got to realize this ain't college. We don't get you for 3 or 4 years on scholarship and have 105 of y'all, or have 85 we can give scholarships to. You have 53 people.
I get that.
You dress 4 to 5 DBs a game, and so you can't just say, okay, we are going to get rid of these guys. But if with that being the situation, you say, you know what? You two stars, you Pro Bowler, you 38-year-old guy who's still balling, neither one of you are playing this game.
Last question.
Because it means more to me.
If they had done that to Bill Belichick, what would have happened?
He'd be out of there.
I'm just saying, what I'm saying to you is
more equity, you're saying, yeah.
And I understand.
And what I mean by out of there, they would have been out of there in the game.
Hold on, y'all. I'm not in any way saying that Zimmer should be Belichick, because I understand there's a different level of equity there. What I'm saying is that to be openly insubordinate.
One quick question, just a yes or no.
You can't tolerate
that.
that.
Right, though? And do you feel like that defensive scheme would have made more sense?
No.
Okay.
Look, not to be overly paternalistic and condescending, because it can sound this way when you talk about coaches' relationships to players. But, I got kids. And one thing you learn about parenting is the consequences need to be immediate, right? And there is a paternalistic kind of relationship between the coach and players. It's not exactly paternal, but there is that relationship. And so I agree with you. As soon as it happens, they touch the stove, it's got to burn right then, not a week later. It's got to burn as soon as they touch it.
Keep in mind, Newman played under Zimmer in Cincinnati and Dallas as well. Ryan, thank you.
I don't mind being somewhat corrected on that point, because I'm
obviously not. You handpicked me for this show.
I'm just saying, whatever.
Coming up next.